Welcome to VoIP Business Talks. My name is Vilas, and I'm excited to bring you the very first episode of the VoIP Business Talks. A month ago, I received an inquiry from Khalid Dolaat, entrepreneur who wanted to start his own VoIP business in the United States, and I decided to introduce him to a VoIP business owner who could share the particularities of how the state tax are handled, how the billing is done, and how different VoIP systems talk to each other.
The hotel PBX, the hotel phone system, used to generate a lot of revenue for hotels. And then it just stopped. This company was started by me with my credit card and my bank account. It was extremely small at the beginning. We've been profitable since day one. So we focused like a laser beam on voice solutions inside hotels. Very, very niche, very, very focused. Our company has been doubling every year for the past 3 years.
If you like this episode, please like, comment, and share it with others who might find it useful. Thank you, and see you on the other side.
David, maybe first of all, you can give a bit like background about yourself, how you came into this business, and
Okay.
then we will go just step by step into the billing, okay?
So many years ago when I was younger with more hair, I worked for a company called Transbeam. Transbeam used to be a CLEC, a competitive local exchange carrier here in the United States in the New York area. One day, my boss says, hey, there's a meeting over at the Essex House, which is a hotel on Central Park South, a very lucrative hotel, about technology upgrades. You know technology a little bit from hotels, from your previous jobs. Why don't you go see if there's a place for us? So back then, Dubai World purchased the Essex House and used Jumeirah, which is a hotel management company from Dubai, to manage the hotel, and they wanted to do technology refresh. That got me deeper into hotel technology. I just love technology in hotels. If it's outside the hotels, not so much. Fast forward, and I worked from Transbeam. I went to a different company called Endstream, which does a lot of wholesale voice over IP. Marrying the two together, I realized, listen, there's a problem, is that the hotel PBX, the hotel phone system, used to generate a lot of revenue for hotels. And then it just stopped. Why did it stop? Because everyone started walking around with cell phones. When was the last time a hotel guest made a phone call out of the hotel room using the hotel phone? There's only 3 types of phone calls being made, and that's, I want a sandwich, I want a towel, or I have a complaint. And those phone calls are all internal. So there's a great opportunity of providing a low-cost, fully functional PBX in hotels and compete with the big guys like Mitel and Avaya and so on, and generate cost savings of 60 to 70%. The challenge, though, is once you go into the PBX, you're dealing with a vast majority of carriers that bring in either PRI or SIP or even analog, believe it or not, into the hotels to connect to the PBX. And when phone calls are no good, there's always finger pointing. The carrier is blaming the PBX, and the PBX is blaming the carrier, and the hotel is left with a problem. So I said, you know what? I'll provide the SIP. So we met Colmisoft. We purchased a license for their More product, and we put it up. And it's really, really good for hotels. Why? Because hotels' call volume is traditionally very, very low. So I'm not dealing with like a CPS of 150. I'm not dealing with thousands and thousands of phone calls. The volume of phone calls coming out of hotels or into hotels can be perfectly managed by the Colmisoft system that we put together. So now we have a situation where we own that phone call from the handset all the way to its termination, and there's no finger pointing, and we can decide what to do. So we put that together. Then we file our own, what the USA calls our own 499A, which basically means we have a license with the FCC as a voice over IP aggregator. We put together an NG911 solution because that's now required by law. We got a bunch of carriers. We made a couple of contacts, and we made more, and we're always changing and adding carriers. And off we go. And here we are in business. We have our own PBX down in the basement of the hotel. We offer SIP services to the hotel, to the PBX. Sometimes the hotel says, no, thanks, we're contracted with somebody else. That's okay. Most of the time they come to us. And now we have a business running with Comisoft more in the core for the SIP. We have our PBX in the basement, and we have what we built our own portal called Optic to manage it all.
Like to do the provisioning?
Yes, and I'll show it to you.
Just one question, before you show it. Anyway, at some point you were a startup. So what was the biggest challenge for you as a startup just to get into this business? Was it like technology? Was it bureaucratical process or something else?
I don't like the name startup.
Mm-hmm.
Startup to me implies that we raised millions of dollars and that we're burning $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month in running the company until we get to a certain volume where we're break even and then profitable. This company was started by me with my credit card and my bank account. It was extremely small at the beginning. We've been profitable since day one. I like to say that I run it like a grocery store. I buy something for $1 and I sell it for $2, and that's it. So we bootstrapped our way up. The greatest challenge was funding. And you could say either I was inspired or I was stubborn. Either way, we didn't get external funding because I found a lot of the funding available as very predatory. And the challenge was going into the hospitality industry and saying, hey, I am GrayMatter Networks, use my PBX and SIP trunks. And the answer was always, who are you exactly? What are you? Why should I buy you and I know nothing versus I can buy Mitel, Avaya from companies like AT&T, Verizon, Windstream, and so on. But we made it through, and now we have a name in the industry. Khalid, the most important advice I can give you is don't be everything for everyone. At the beginning of our company, we said, we're going to do all hotel technology, and our vertical is going to be hotels, which is great. We were sputtering along. We were growing organically a little bit at a time. It was not really exciting if you look at our books. Then we said, you know what, we really need to focus. Even though we're only focused on hotels and nothing else, we still need to focus more. So we focused like a laser beam on voice solutions inside hotels. Very, very niche, very, very focused. Our company has been doubling every year for the past 3 years because of that hyper focus. So you need to pick your niche and you need to provide a solution to your customers' needs, even if they don't know they need it. I'll give you an example. We never sell ourselves as the best PBX, the most features and low cost and all that. Absolutely not. What we do is we go into a hotel. Every single hotel, every morning has what they call their stand-up operations meeting. They talk about all the problems in the hotel, issues coming up. And so it's like a 15-minute scrum meeting. Everyone does it. It's a part of hospitality. Our goal, and this is how we pitch our product, after you install our systems, you will not talk about voice or PBX in those stand-up meetings ever again because it just works. That's how we pitch our products. We don't talk about price. We don't talk about features. We don't talk about anything. What we talk about is the scrum meeting or the operations meeting in the morning. You will never talk about PBX. So find your niche, what you're best at, or what interests you the most. For example, you could say, I sell phone systems to dentists in the Colorado area. That's how you're going to make money. You're going to make money. If you say I sell phone systems to any business in the Colorado area, you won't make money. But if you say I am a specialist in a dentist practice, and you find why, even if it's a story that they like to hear, I am a specialist in voice communications for dentists, you're going to make boatloads of money. But if you go all over the place, you won't make any money.
Gotcha. I'll consider this advice.
Maybe you can explain the challenge that you told me, like about all the US taxes, and then maybe David could share us how he had.
I have a few concerns about set up the business. I would say if for the existing customer, they would have the same, they will have the service from another provider. And I have question about, LNMP, which is local number portability, and also, the billing for, like every city and state, and, even a street, maybe it has a different, taxes way to calculate,
Every single phone call that your customers make inside the United States needs to be, first of all, rated, how much it costs you versus how much you're billing the customer. With that, you have more, takes care of it, not a problem. Then after you have a rated phone call, you need to say, okay, what are the taxable authorities that are going to touch that phone call? Sometimes it's state, federal, sometimes it's state, sometimes it's local, and sometimes it's all three. Most of the time it's all three. So think about that. You've got one federal, 50 states, each state has thousands of municipalities, everyone wants their piece, right? So that's number one. So how do you take that one phone call where you've made 6 cents? How do you tax that, and how do you bill it, and what do you do? So it gets a little bit crazy. Then you need to collect that money from your customers on your invoice, and then you need to distribute it to all the municipalities. You're going to end up Majnoon. It's crazy,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
That's true.
it's unbelievable. So we are using a tax consultant, a company called CSI in Florida, where
Yes.
basically, are you familiar with them?
Yes, I had a reference from the lawyer about them. So like they do most of like kind of
Yep. So I
outsourcing.
can introduce you to them. I can introduce you to them at the end. At the first of every month, because we always bill backwards, right? So
Yes.
things like subscriptions and MRCs and all that, we bill forwards, but usage we bill backwards. That's the nature of the game. So we export all of our CDRs out of More. We're tapping into the MySQL backend. We're just taking all those CDRs out. Remember, those CDRs are already rated. It takes into account our cost, our profit, the whole thing. We massage them a little bit and send them over to CSI as a CSV file. We FTP it over. They rate the files and come back to us with what we call a taxation file, where they say, this customer, these are the line items you need to add to the invoice for the various tax authorities, and these are the amounts.
Mm-hmm.
We then collect all the money from the customer. They send us one check for the entire invoice, and then CSI says, let's say almost to the end of the month, hey, we're going to need from you $7,000. That $7,000 gets ACH to them. They then distribute that money accordingly to all the taxable authorities, from the local municipalities to state to federal. And they also do the quarterly filings for us with the FCC, for the FUSF, and so on. For that, of course, we pay them a fee. And that's it. It sounds simple, but it's hard to do.
The emergency lines, which is, I think, like, because there is some fees about, the emergency lines for each customer.
So about a year ago, the FCC came up with a law that we need to be NG 911 compatible on all systems that are new, what they call MTLS, multi-telephone line systems. Basically, it's a PBX. What does that mean? That every time someone dials 911 for emergency from any extension, you need to deliver to the PSAP, which is the PSAP is where the emergency services are. You need to deliver the phone number calling, the address, the main door of, let's say, the business, the dentist office, where they're located,
Mm-hmm.
the extension number that called 911, and what's called the dispatchable location. So for a hotel, for example, I would be sending the hotel main address, the front door. I'd be sending the phone number of the hotel, the dispatchable location and extension. I would say room 302 is calling 911. They're located on the 5th floor, northeast corner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You need to deliver all of that,
All
and it's
information,
possible. Yeah. What PBX are you thinking of selling?
I'm looking to sell the 3CX. I
Mhm.
did the partner with them, and I think they have like a lot of features.
3CX is great. 3CX is based on Windows, but they work. They work well. Make sure that you maintain Windows correctly for vulnerabilities. Make sure you maintain 3CX for vulnerabilities, and they can deliver the NG911 information. Now you need to make a determination. Just because the PBX can deliver it, can your upstream process it? So we built a system that uses the top three, which is Bulk VS, IntelliQuint, and Intrado. Excuse me, Bulk VS, Bandwidth.com, and Intrado. All three do NG911 wonderfully. That phone call comes to us, to our engine, and then we just round robin the 911. Why? Because we want that redundancy. Hotels, a trade secret of hotels is that they call 911 a lot more than any normal business.
True.
Crazy amounts of 911 calls. So that's why we want that redundancy and we want that reliability. But we made sure that our PBX can deliver that information to our core. Our core can deliver it to our NG911 upstream, and it works great. And I'll be happy to share details with you on that.
And is there like a multiple, supplier for this,
Oh yeah, I'll introduce you to them if you want. Not a problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and 3CX can do it. The downside to 3CX is that it's Windows-based, though they do have a Linux-based one. I just find Windows not secure, and phone systems are targets for hackers because if you get into the phone system, you can get fraud traffic. You can resell that fraud traffic for very big profits. So I'm using a core of free PBX from Sangoma, but we modified it. The other thing that you need to think about is your business is not just VoIP, right? You're selling telephones, you're selling labor, right? Sometimes people take support and you need to bill that on a monthly charge. Sometimes they want support on a per instant basis. Hey, solve this problem and you charge them 2.5 hours, whatever it is. So your invoice, and everyone wants to receive one invoice. So your invoice has components of, are you familiar with more yet? Have you dove into it, looked into it?
Oh, not yet. Like technically, I didn't get like the.
You've got things like subscriptions, right? A subscription is a monthly charge that keeps on going over and over and over again. So everything that has an MRC, a monthly recurring charge, out of voice, we do out of more. So a DID costs $1, right?
Right.
So let's say someone has 20 DIDs. I want to charge them 20 subscriptions of a DID, list them in the invoice, and I want it to happen every month. I do that in More because for me, More is the voice platform, right? Let's say someone has a package. I have 2,000 minutes that comes at $20. Any minute after that, I want to charge them at 2 cents a minute. So all those packages, all those subscriptions are being done in More, which generates that information. How do we then bill for another telephone or another 3 hours of labor or a ticket at 4 hours? So Optic, which is the portal that we built, takes all the information for More for voice, ingests it, and then we have what we call one-time charges that come up, a closing of a ticket, a telephone, anything else, labor, and so on.
Yeah.
And puts them all together, including the taxation file coming from CSI, puts it all into one invoice and sends it out. One of the key things that we changed recently, and I suggest you do, is have a very strict rule. Absolutely everything is billable because that's the best way to track things and see what's going on. Now, sometimes you're going to bill it at 0, but everything is billable.
But it has
Everything. So
at least it has an item in the billing system. Got you. Yeah.
right. Everything is billable. And if you want to give your friend free phone calls, that's great. He receives an invoice that says 0, but he receives an invoice. That's going to be as you grow, you're going to get to 10, 20, 30, $40,000 a month in revenue from voice. Eventually, you're no longer going to be de minimis. De minimis means that you're a small carrier for the FCC. They're going to start to looking at you. They might audit you. If you have everything as billable, you have zero fear of anything.
Got you. Yeah.
Any other questions before I show you what we do?
What is the process like to have this kind of local number portability?
You have two options.
Yeah.
Raise $50 million and become a CLEC, or go with an upstream that can do it for you. So our main DID provider is IntelliQuint. I think they're called Cinch right now. Every time they change there's acquisitions.
Yeah.
When we want to port a number, we go through a process. We have the customer fill in forms about porting, asserting that they have the number. We pull what's called a CSR, customer service record, from the losing carrier. after we get a letter of authorization or letter of agency from the customer, the CSR is going to tell us exactly what they have. You'll be surprised how many customers don't know what they have. Then we call Intelliquent and we say, hey, we want to port this number. We fill in the form in their portal, click OK. We get back what's called a FOC date, FOC, firm order commitment. And then on that day, on that time, the number just switches over to Intelliquent and they deliver the number to us through their SIP trunk.
Easy process, or it's like?
Absolutely not. But I am more than willing if you want. We have a culture of sharing information with our company. Our company is very strange. I don't believe that holding information makes us stronger. I believe that sharing information makes us stronger. So if you want to see our porting forms, if you want to see how we do it with Intelliquent, I'll make all that available to you and all that. There's only I have only one request. Hotels go to me. Everything else goes to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I'll make all the introductions and I'll show you all the forms that you want, and I'll show you how it's done. You can copy them. I have no problems. Put your logos and all that. Not a problem. It's a process. If you adhere to the process perfectly, you'll have zero issues. 1 out of 10 ports is going to be a pain, but the other 9 will be no problems.
Like once I master the process, it should be like, but I just want to see like how much time it takes like to just onboard like one customer who's like looking to maintain his number.
At the beginning, it's going to take a lot of time to make your forms, make sure they're perfect, make sure you have a process in place, put all that together. That takes a lot of time. Once you have that, porting becomes boom, done. Very quick and all that. That's it. So let me just bring up my portal so I can show it to you. So when you log in, this is what you get. This is our portal. We call it Optic. We built this from the ground up by ourselves. We have a bunch of programmers in the Philippines. This is all based in on our server in our co-location. This is literally the server sitting next to the More server, right? So here we have it. So because we're very hotel centric, you're going to see a lot of hospitality stuff here. For example, brands and customers. Brands can be something like Hilton, Stay Pineapple, Marriott, and Viceroy. And then underneath that, we have customers. A customer for us, and this is the way we run our business. It's up to you how you want to run your business. A customer for us is anyone that has from us, gets from us an invoice. This is the entity that gets the invoice. So here we track who the reseller is, their main BTN phone number, main contact, and what products they have. Like we call our PBX the brain box. So this customer has a brain box, they have SIP from us, and they have support from us. So this is built so quickly as we get phone calls or emails or support incidents that come in, we can quickly ascertain who the customer is for identity purposes. We want to see what the BTN is or what the bill telephone number is. We want to see what products they have, and we want to see the name of the hotel. And once we go in, we get more information about it, including their logo, all kinds of, what's going on, balances, sales tax, everything that we have about the customers here, including contacts, users. We're slowly building a possibility of resellers and users going in and using Optic for themselves, right, as a service from us. Any documents that we have, that's one of the things that you need to be really good and diligent at from the very beginning is your document management. Contracts, power or letters of authorization, CSRs, old telephone bills, all these documents have a place where you store them, and it's perfect. That will eliminate so many issues for you that you have no idea. Notes and records about them. And then we have what we call sites. A site is a location where we have service. You can have one hotel with 2 buildings. So that's one hotel, one customer, 2 sites, right? Gotcha. And that's how we do it. For example, Stay Pineapple Hospitality, our customers, Stay Pineapple, they're located in Seattle. That's their corporate office. But they have 7 hotels, and they want the one invoice to the corporate office for everything. So that's one customer, 7 sites. So that's how we do it. That's how it's good for us. It could be like for a dentist office, it could be a main dentist office that has 3 locations, right? you need to build it how you see fit for your business. I'm telling you how I build it.
Yeah, I have one
And then, of
question.
course,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry, David. Like, do you do like any kind of API integration between this web application server with with more?
Not yet. We're doing for the billing, but every day we're adding more and more features and building it.
And this is like I would say like this is possible like to integrate an API.
Yeah. More has a full API.
Yeah.
Optic has a full API. Are they talking together right now? I would say 20%.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Of course, tickets. Like here's one ticket open for the customer. All the regular ticket information, the head information, what's going on, and so on, and how we communicate with them on the ticket. It's just a ticketing system. That's all it is, right? So let's go back to here. And what we talked about is billing. So in billing, what we built is here you have the account name, and here we have the account ID. VS01 is voice switch 01. Guess what it is? It's more. We call it voice switch 01. And the tie-in from our billing here and our billing in more is the account ID. The account ID that more generates gets put into here, and it must match perfectly, and that's how we tie everything together.
So this is how you use API, like to pull all information to.
We're not using API. We're just going right into the database. It's MySQL backend.
Oh, gotcha.
So we have one MySQL server. We call it DB1 for database one. And Optic uses it, and More uses it. We have the NG911 system uses it. We have one big monster server with a lot of RAM, a lot of CPU, a lot of hard drives, and that creates our MySQL instance, and everyone uses it. And then we just back that one up.
And you have this server hosted like in one of the exchanges, I would say, or data center?
No, we have a data center right here in Orangeburg, New York, called 1547 Realty. We took a cabinet and we just put servers in there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You can do it on AWS. You can do it on Oracle. You can do it on Azure. You can do it on anywhere, right? We are planning to moving some of our stuff to Oracle Cloud. There's a pending project with Colmisoft to do an experiment and move it all to Oracle and all that. That's in the test phase, if you will.
Clear, yeah.
Invoice messages, that's things that you want to put in invoice messages, like Ramadan Kareem, right? Or whatever it is that shows up in the invoice. Now we have non-recurring one-time charges. That's in this section, and I'll go back to it. And we have what's called recurring charges. Recurring charges are the monthly recurring charges. This is what we charge on a monthly basis to our customer that is not voice. So monthly support or monthly MRC for the brain box. We like to have the serial number on the invoice, so we do a charge of 0, but put a line item of all that. So,
but this David
like
going to have like a different kind of tax, calculation.
Oh, I'll show you. Yeah. So I'll show you. So right now we're on the 12th of the month. What's going to happen on the 1st of the month is Colmisoft is going to, we're actually going to pull, we're not going to push, we're going to pull the information out of More, send it to taxation, get a CSV file back, and upload into this. At that point, you're going to see that there's a lot of non-recurring one-time charges here that all came from voice, taxation, and so on. We call that non-recurring recurring, right? And they get put into here automatically. NCR, yeah. So all of the one-time charges go into here. Monthly recurring charges that are not voice go into here. And it ends up generating a invoice that looks like this.
Consolidated one. Yeah, got you.
So you can see the state excise tax and surcharges, all of this county sales, all of this was given to us. So usage was given to us by More.
Yeah.
Everything else, all these things here that are taxation were given to us by CSI. And then here, the monthly support and the software maintenance was given to us by Optic.
And this taxation will follow which state? Or, depends on the
Depends. Which state did you call from? Which state did you call to?
Oh, I mean like for the MRC only, like for the MRC charges. For the
This one happens to be, this guy happens to be in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So this is, so when you see here sales tax, that's first of all New York State sales tax, right? And
Yes.
all these taxes are based about where they're located and where they call for to.
Oh, gotcha. So you are following the sales tax of New York for that customer. Gotcha.
So once every once in a while, I get an email from CSI, funding request, and they say, "Hey, we need to dip." So I'll give you an example. Where is it? Here. Look at this, right? This is what they say. This is CSI. They're telling me they're going to take this amount of money and when they're going to take it. And we have a separate checking account that is only for this. I don't want them dipping into my main checking account. I like to have control of the money.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, gotcha. Like only for
And this
taxation,
varies based on usage and all the things that we do with them. And then they distribute the money accordingly.
Yeah. Okay. So they will manage like money, the tax distribution across the states.
Yes. Yes.
Authorities. Yeah.
Yeah. So they do it. So this is the end result, the invoice that the customer gets, and then they pay it, and off we go. This is hang on. Let me go into the accounting and show you. I don't do it anymore. My girl Mila does it, so I don't even know. But we have somewhere in the accounting that we built where basically she calls it button 1, 2, and 3. Button 1, get the information from more. Button 2, package the CSV file and send it to CSI. Button 3, pull the CSI file back, the taxation file, and ingest it into the invoice part. So we call it button 1, 2, and 3, right?
Yeah. It's like kind of internal steps, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's it. Ask your questions. What else can I show you? I know I've concentrated just on billing and taxation and all that. If you have any other questions.
Yeah.
And this is more, by the way, right here. This is what we have for more. Are you familiar with this?
Oh no, not familiar. Like
Vilius can do a demo for you. He could do a much better job than I ever can.
I have like few questions, like how to build, the interconnection, like SIP interconnection with the carrier, like different carrier. Like if I want to do it with you, for example, like at the beginning.
The hardest part is getting the agreement in place, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Carriers love long, big, huge contracts, right? Negotiate the pricing, the rate tables, the whole thing. That's the hardest part. That's 90% of the work. Once the signature is set and you're done, it's just a question of, hey, what's your IP address? What codec you're using? How are you going to send me the format of the phone numbers? And you program that into more, and it takes literally 5 minutes.
Cool. And what about like what about the billing agreement between you and them? Like how do you charge them?
So it all depends. There's postpaid, like bandwidth.com only does postpaid, and then they give you a credit limit based on who you are. So let's say they say you could bill up to $500 a month, and then you need to pay it down. Then there's prepaid. I personally have all my accounts for term, which is outbound traffic, prepaid. They all offered postpaid for me. I said, no, thank you. I want prepaid. Not only that, I want that if my balance reaches 0, I want the termination to stop. Why? It's just another layer of protection for fraud.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't want to. I've seen with others runaway bills. You owe me 20,000. You owe me 25,000. I could shut down a company, right? So for me, what we do is we constantly check the balance. I have a Filipino that the job is go from one to the other every day. Go from one to the other. See the balance. If it goes below a certain threshold, add another 200. Add another 300, and keep on doing that. We never auto top up, never, because that could kill your credit card. And we could get into fraud. So we have these fraud mechanisms. Also, you know what? Then I'll show you for fraud if we're already talking about it.
Yeah.
For every for me a user in
This is a really
for me a user in CallMeSoft in more a user is a customer, right? You have a daily balance limit and you have a total credit line. So that's a mechanism within more to protect you. Never, under any circumstances, will you check off unlimited. Ever, ever, ever.
So it
Okay?
should be like a
So,
kind of capping for the number of minutes that
right,
the downstream customer would use. Yeah.
right. This is the number of dollars, not minutes.
Oh, got you. Okay. Okay.
Okay? Also, here, always make sure that you have a good call limit, right? Never do unlimited calls, ever. Because all of a sudden there could be 1,000 phone calls to some weird country in Africa, and before you know it, you owe $10,000. Here, you're limiting your risk. So fraud protection is all about limiting your risk in different layers, and you do it everywhere. Not one mechanism. There's not one answer. On the PBX, for example, on 3CX, they also have fraud prevention mechanisms. So you're going to use it on 3CX, you're going to use it on more, you're going to use it on your upstreams, and you're always going to be monitoring and watching, constantly watching everything.
Got you. Got you. Yeah.
All right. So you want that. For example, take a look. Where is it? I have someone constantly watching this. This is the graphs of how many phones. If all of a sudden you see a spike, that means something is wrong, right? Find out what's wrong, get on it. Quick reactions will always save you money and aggravation. If you get a smooth graph like this, that's great. If you're getting spikes, something is wrong.
And do you have like kind of alarming system that would like push some, notification?
Yeah.
So you can.
Yes. We use a open source NMS called Zabbix. Are you familiar with it?
Oh no, like I'm familiar with Nagios, I would say.
Very similar. Very similar. Nagios is great. It'll work for you. So if we have issues with, here you could see some problems. Customers go up and down, their ISP goes up and down and all that. We have all of this and we take care of it. Or we have what I call via 01 calls. And if it goes out of pattern, our people jump on it and take a look at it.
Got you. Oh, that's
right. So Nagios can do exactly the same thing. Just a question of, what do you like? Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can
Mhm.
also like configure that to the SMS.
Yeah.
I would like to have also like one question. I don't know like if you have this kind of SMS services like within your business. So
right now, nothing good, but our upstreams like Intelliquent, we just signed a contract with them for SMS. So we can SMS enable a DID. So if someone sends an SMS to our main number, it comes to my email as an example. So you could do that for your customers. It's a little primitive what we have. We need to get a lot better. We have, more programming to do. It's always more and more and more and more.
Definitely, yeah. Okay. But that's cool. Like to have the upstream sending the SMS to you, like in different way, whatever. Like even if it's an email, this is good. So.
Right. So I can introduce you to some carriers that can do that for you.
Yeah. Got you.
Okay. Keep on as many questions as you want. Also, you have my email address, right?
Yes. I have your contacts details.
Feel free to ping me with any questions you have.
Yeah, sure. I will do for sure. Like this is.
I will also add a question to Khalid's question. So, for example, Khalid is starting this business from scratch, and as you told, like dealing with a tier 1 carriers, it's quite bureaucratical. You need to sign a lot of papers, negotiate, and on. And for example, he wants to launch the business like quite fast, and with the tier 1 carriers, maybe it would take 6 months, 1 year to negotiate. Would you recommend to get started with maybe smaller carriers like you with tier 2 or tier 3 carriers just to get everything faster? And when you have some decent traffic, then to negotiate with the tier 1 carriers? What's your advice?
Yes and no. Tier 1 carriers like Verizon, AT&T, it's going to take you a good 6 months to negotiate. They also have very high minimums. Like if you want a direct SIP link into AT&T as a carrier, you're going to generate a minimum of $50,000 a month in charges. If not, they're going to bill you the $50,000. It doesn't make sense. Then you have carriers that are aggregators, the smaller ones, and they have those direct connections, and you're a second tier to them. And then you have people like me. If you want to make get a SIP chunk from me that you want to resell, we can work something out.
Yeah.
I have resellers like Allbridge and Pinnacle and so on. Actually, with Allbridge, not only are they reselling us, we're actually generating their invoices for them, because More has the capability of having resellers. So there's my price to Allbridge, Allbridge's price, that's Allbridge's cost, and then Allbridge to their customers. And we generate the billing file for Allbridge. So they get a file of all the invoices, what they need to charge their customers every month. And then they get one big invoice from me on the wholesale level. Right?
Gotcha.
And that's it for SIP chunking. But that's very specific to hospitality. We can work something out with you, or I can introduce you to people that could do that for you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And David also just tried to this question, as you deal with resellers, do you have some requirements who want to become your reseller? Should they be related to the hospitality industry, or anyone could become your?
Anyone can become my reseller. We can work with you, we can help you, we can grow. But if it's not hospitality, you will see very quickly, within a year, you're looking for somebody else, but that's okay. We're not going to be the best one for you after a year or two of business. We will be great for you in the first, just to get going. We'll be great for you. But after that, you're better off going to who we buy in minutes from, or who we use as our upstreams. You're better off forming those relationships.
Gotcha.
But to get off the ground quickly, we can help you.
Yeah, can we have the same kind of business model, which is like kind of prepaid SIP trunk?
Absolutely. But I recommend, for business, forget about how. I strongly urge you, figure out who you want to work with, who's your avatar, who's your target, and what problem you solve for them, right? Put that together, put your marketing together on that, and that's going to be the hardest part in starting the business. The voice part is the easiest part.
Yeah.
The hard part is the marketing and the sales and filling up that pipeline that you generate the revenue.
Yeah, like our strategy is like to focus on the medical sector as of now. Maybe also, also the lawyers as well. And later, like, I'm not sure, like maybe you can grow up and cover like.
Well, you have an in the Jordanian community, right?
Yeah.
So you have not only an in, but you have a direct connection to people in Jordan. So you can get phone calls into Jordan and out of Jordan probably a lot cheaper than most people can do, right? Because you have a good connection. Leverage that. I want all Jordanian doctors, right? I want all Jordanian doctors in the United States. And I'm going to offer you a Jordanian phone number, a US phone number, phone calls to your family back and forth. And also, figure something out using your connections, and you'll make a lot of money.
Yeah, sure.
Another thing, no joke, right? You do tech support in Arabic. That is a niche.
Cool. Yeah.
That is a niche. You could do it, and hey, you can make money doing it, because you're going to have people that, well, that's if you want to do residential, right? For business, it doesn't really mean much, but for residential, if you want to do residential calling cards, dial arounds, and all that type of stuff, and you have tech support in Jordan in Arabic, that's big. That's very, very big.
Yeah, right.
So think about what you want to do, and I could brainstorm with you if you want. But you've got a niche. Sure. You've got a niche. Utilize it.
Yeah, like I'm still learning, so definitely, like, I'll be more than happy. I'll be so glad, like, to get like more, I get like more details from you and like learn from you.
Word of warning: I love this business, so I don't shut up. So if you call me, I'm not going to stop talking. So be careful.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Totally fine.
All right.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Sure. What else do you got for me? Give me the hard questions.
Yeah, for me, those like question came up to my mind. I don't know, like
If you want to go further into what we do, you could just reach out to me and then I can screen share with you whenever you want.
definitely like know how I'll approach you like with all my questions, like if you don't mind, of course, David.
No, bring it on. No problem.
Sure.
One maybe final question. You are talking about the solving problems. So I'm curious to learn from the Columnsoft point of view, what problem does more solve for you as a business?
We had a need for a class 4 routing engine, but we also had it to have a little bit more of class 5 features in it. And more was easy to install, easy to use, easy to learn. Of all the features of more, we're using maybe 20%, not more. But what it does for us, it does perfectly for us. One of the things I like more, what I like best about more is the fact that you're doing a check of the balance of the user before sending the phone call out. It's part of your logic. And that's part of the fraud detection, which really helps. I actually do like the fact that it's based on asterisk, so it's a back-to-back UA rather than a true SIP proxy. Again, it helps us with a lot of the stuff like regenerating RTP. It keeps our call quality up, and it gives me the control that I need via the GUI. And if I don't have the control that I need, I can easily access the back end, go into the asterisk, go into the asterisk logs, go into the MySQL. That and you guys are open to that and support me in that. So that's answers everything that I need. One thing that it does not need answer for, and I'm contracting with Oracle for their SBC, is stir shaken, right? That's one thing. And the other thing is what I sent to you guys, the API ban, to get tighter on blacklisting IP addresses. Example, right now, we just took a very generic default route of saying disallow all, allow some. So before you use our system, you need to give me your IP address so I can open it up. And we geo-block anything coming out of the world, only allow United States traffic.
Okay. And for those, by the way, who don't know what class 4 and class 5 is, maybe just can comment a few words.
Okay. Class 4 is for high scale, high speed switching. It doesn't give you any features like voicemail or voicemail to email or IVR queuing and all that. That's all class 5 or PBX. Class 4 is for the very fast call routing and billing that carriers use. Class 5 is generally PBX, things like queues, IVRs, voicemail, and handsets. That's more on that side. So there's, with the voice over IP world, especially with hosted systems, there's a merging of the class 4 and class 5, and more does it well.
Yeah, for me, like my assumption about the class 4 is, like whatever, like going through the TDM circuits or, converting whatever, like non-IP traffic to an IP traffic with a separate trunk. I mean, this is like my assumption for the C4.
No. Class 4 is all about fast routing. It doesn't matter if it's TDM or SIP or even, believe it or not, people still use H323, right? It's about moving volumes of phone calls quickly from one place to another, very, very quickly. It's what carriers use. Class 5 is about the features that the end users want. Low traffic, but high features.
Yeah, then I have like a wrong assumption about it, like because my assumption is like that C4 is only TDM convergent to a SIP trunk. So
no,
have this kind of TDM circuits. Yeah.
Columnsoft does have a class 4 solution that's separate than more. What you saw right now is more of their class 5 solution. It's what I have. Class 4, they have something.
Yeah, it's called M4. But yeah, that's the reason why I asked this question, because if you ask different person, like different people have different understanding about class 4 versus class 5. So it's always better just to tell exactly what you
exactly. Like, because
I hope I did good then, Vilius. Did I?
Yeah, you did well. Yeah. Like in short, what we tell that class 4 is used usually, it's like interconnection between operators, but not necessarily like SIP to TDM. It can be SIP to SIP as well. And class 4 is usually not interconnection, but it's usually delivering services either to the end user, like it can be an individual, or a business who has a PBX. And usually like PBX features is like one of the main differentiators, because class 5 supports PBX features. For example, more has PBX features, even though, of course, for example, David uses third-party PBX like free PBX or anything else. Some people use PBX features inside more.
So we do sometimes, right? One of the things we offer to hotels is, hey, if your internet connection goes down, we can offer you a hosted voicemail to email, right? That's a class 5 feature that we can do on more.
Okay, good, guys. So if there are no more questions, Khalid, you have David's email, so you can always reach out to him. David, like, thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
I personally learned a lot, especially like about your like elevator pitch. If I would own a hotel, most probably I would buy from you like after this elevator pitch. I don't know how long it took you just to think it through, but I think it's perfect. Yeah, you have a
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, man. Take care, guys.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.